Aloha, humans! My name is Lorelai, but you can call me Lori, and welcome back to the platy-pod with special guest
I just found an entire bag of soft mints.
Ace, who is now addicted to soft mints, apparently, although that isn't new. Earlier it was watermelon. Did you eat them all, or did you just put it up?
I put it up.
Okay, good.
It was kind of watery.
It's watermelon.
It was more watery than usual.
Okay. Okay, in the last video, we did chapters 1 and 2 of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz by L. Frank Baum. And so in this video, we'll do 3 and 4. Dorothy currently has 2 life deaths after a little debate.
And we're restarting the bleep counter.
And we restart the bleep counter for each episode. And I just had a candy thrown in my lap, so I'm going to eat that real quick. So you talk about the book.
It's a caramel, so she'll be at that for a while. Anyway, so when we last left off, the witch can instantly teleport, but decided not to instantly teleport Dorothy to where she needed to go.
She can instantly teleport herself.
If she could only instantly teleport herself, then how do all of her accoutrements go with her? Does she, teleport someplace and end up there butt naked?
Maybe there's, a weight limit of things she can teleport. Or, she can teleport herself, and also her clothes.
She literally has power of prophecy through turning her hat into a slate.
Yeah, but we also know she has limited power, which was less than the Wicked Witch's.
Her limited power includes any person that has a mark that shows that she favors them is instantly exempt from literally anyone touching her.
Yes, but you don't know what the mark represents. It could be a curse. If anyone harms the wearer of the mark, they're cursed with something really inconvenient.
Like a house falling on them.
No.
It's a joke.
Okay, let's actually get to the book. So we're on chapter 3, How Dorothy Saved the Scarecrow. And I really wish we could show the illustrations, but the publishing company, Barnes & Noble, never contacted me back. So
they don't care if you show them. They probably only cared because they probably only care if you're a famous YouTuber. If Jacksepticeye was like, "Hey, I want to show these illustrations from this copy of Wonderful Wizard of Oz," they'd probably be like, they'd probably actually pay attention and email him back and be like, "Sure," or "Nah." But we're still small time, so it's just hey, does anybody really care about this YouTube channel?
I didn't even say it was for YouTube. I said it was just for a project, and then I needed to put it on the internet, and I never heard back from anyone. They were like,
they probably think
your
it's
thing
a
will
school project then.
It's like, your thing will be processed in 4 to 5 business days. It's been 3 months. 3 months. I put off so much.
That's how many months it took for us to decide we should probably just go ahead and do this.
It, yeah. Okay. The book. When Dorothy was left alone, she began to feel hungry, so she went to the cupboard and cut herself some bread, which she spread with butter. She gave some to Toto, and taking a pail from the shelf, she carried it down to the little brook and filled it with clear, sparkling water. Toto ran over to the trees and began to bark at the birds sitting there, because Toto has no chill. He misses the rains down in Africa. Sorry.
Bad.
I couldn't resist.
Bad. You are so bad. You're worse than the painting in this place.
Stop. Let me read. Oh yeah, we're not in our usual recording area. We're in the living room of our grandfather.
And they have a painting of something.
And it's a really nice
very
living
naughty.
room. But they have a landscape painting that people keep wanting to misinterpret, or I guess it could have been on purpose. We're not going to get into it.
It's basically
We're not going to get into
style.
We're not going to get into it. All right. We are going to get into the book that we're here for. Headphones warning. Dorothy went to get him and saw such delicious fruit hanging from the branches that she gathered some of it, finding it just what she wanted to help out her breakfast.
What kind of fruit?
Delicious.
What? That doesn't clear it up.
Well, there's a kind of apple called a red delicious.
Yeah, but it's not just called delicious. I mean, what if the fruit's poisonous? How would she be able to tell if she couldn't recognize it? What kind of fruit is it?
It doesn't say. Quit nitpicking.
But nitpicking helps improve. I guess you can't really improve it, though.
It was written in 1900.
It's over 100 years old and he's dead, but...
Stop nitpicking books that are in the public domain, because that happens after the author's dead and been dead for a certain amount of time, and it's the only kind of book we can read on here.
Warning to any future writers. Specify the kind of fruit, or else we're going to think that the child is poisoning herself.
Or at least be like, hey, she saw a bird eating it, so it's probably fine. I mean, birds are poisoned by more things than humans are. Okay. Then she went back to the house, and having helped herself and Toto to a good drink of the cool, clear
Wait, did you just make
waters.
a Hatchet reference?
What?
In Hatchet, he finds fruit and he knows it's safe to eat because the birds were eating it. Did you just make a Hatchet reference?
Not on purpose. I was actually making a Hunger Games reference. Well, like a game theory, Hunger Games combined reference about knowing what's safe to eat and how you can identify things in the wild. But that's beside the point. That's just a thing I happen to know.
Also, can we talk about Hatchet?
It might be from Hatchet. It's the wrong book, but you may say a few things.
I read that book for school. It's weird.
We watched the movie. Nobody loves me. Everybody hates me. I'm gonna eat some worms. Okay. Stop that. I sincerely doubt it's copyrighted, but it could be. So let's just read the book. We're not even done with the first page. Alright, she went back to the house. She and Toto had a good drink of the cool, clear water. She set about making herself ready for the journey to the City of Emeralds. Not the Emerald City, the City of Emeralds. And they never call it the Yellow Brick Road either. They call it the Road of Yellow Brick.
I think the only reason
Spanish of
that whatever MGM I think did this movie. I think the only reason that MGM made those such specific terms is because they wanted to copyright them.
Oh, that's a good point. Dorothy had only one other dress, but that happened to be clean and was hanging on a peg beside her bed. It's clean after being in a cyclone.
Also, why does she need like a nice church dress if there's no people around?
Well,
nobody visits. How did it not turn gray? Everything turned gray, so how is that?
Maybe she just didn't wear it outside enough because there weren't anything around. And it's possible that they had like a wagon or something so they could go into town for church and stuff. I mean, we know they have livestock. Right? Alright, let me at least finish the page.
If they could go into town, how do they not know what joy is?
Maybe no one in town knows what joy is either. Now, I'm not done with the page. When we're done with the page, we can talk again. We're on the first page. It's been almost 10 minutes. Let me finish the page. Okay?
Nah. Anyway, so why does she just have such a nice dress that she never wears?
It was gingham with checks of white and blue, and although the blue was somewhat faded with many washings, it was still a pretty frock. The girl washed herself carefully, dressed herself in the clean gingham, and tied her pink sunbonnet on her head. She took a little basket and filled it with bread from the cupboard, laying a white cloth over the top. Now, we finished the page, and I would like to point out it was never mentioned in the description of the house that there was anywhere to wash yourself. No bathroom mentioned at all in the description of the house. There was one room and no bathroom mentioned. I'm concerned.
Also, interesting fact, back before the Holocaust, blue was meant for girls and pink was meant for boys.
Now blue's meant for munchkins.
Yeah, but anyway, so it's actually really interesting.
I thought it was funny.
Anyway, so it's actually really interesting, her accoutrements or whatever. I don't know why I keep saying that.
Her dress?
Her dress, because that implies that her dress is very, very cutesy and feminine.
Okay.
Historical context!
Yeah! Ow. Then she looked down at her feet and noticed how old and worn her shoes were. They surely will never do for a long journey, Toto, she said, and Toto looked up into her face with his little black eyes and wagged his tail to show he knew what she meant, which is adorable. At that moment, Dorothy saw lying on the table the silver shoes that had belonged to the Witch of the East.
The Witch of the East could teleport. Why did she think these shoes were good for a long journey?
Because they're made of metal? Wait, listen. I wonder if they will fit me, she said to Toto. They would be just the thing to take a long walk in, for they could not wear out, because they're made of metal. They could... It's not rust for silver, it's tarnish. They could tarnish.
And there's also the fact that metal shoes maybe aren't comfortable for long journeys. They won't wear out, but they're not going to be comfortable after walking a while.
They are magic shoes, though. We do know that. And why would someone wear shoes all the time that are uncomfortable?
Because they're charmed.
So you'd think if they're charmed already, you could just make them comfortable.
Yeah, but how would you know that they were comfortable? They're literally metal. I wouldn't want to wear...
Because she knew that someone had been wearing them all the time.
Yeah,
and they can't
wear out. But it's also been clearly stated that she wore them all the time as a thing of pride rather than convenience.
Right. Okay, you're nitpicking again. The point is that the shoes she's wearing are all worn out, and these are the only other shoes there that she could wear. So it makes sense that she would decide to change her shoes to these ones that aren't worn out when we know someone's been wearing them for a long time, but they aren't worn out. So that's how she comes to the conclusions that it would not wear out. They're metal, and they aren't worn out already, and we know someone's worn them all the time. So, let me just keep reading the book now.
The movie had a less contrived way of getting those shoes onto Dorothy.
Teleportation. Way less contrived than just deciding
Glinda
that
is
good
implied
shoes
to
would
have
work.
put the shoes on her to keep the other witch from getting them.
Yeah,
So it's not quite contrived. It's more like, you have those shoes now, you can't take them off.
She really couldn't, too.
Yeah, the book does not agree with this.
Well, which came first?
The book, so...
Yes. The movie disagreed with the book's reasoning rather than the other way around. Now...
Spoilers.
For the movie?
For the book. We've been spoiling the book!
Been spoiling? What do you mean we've been spoiling the book? We've only talked what's happened up to this point.
We spoiled about the fact that the shoes can come off. Which is relevant.
Whatever. I wonder if they will fit me, she said to Toto, for they could not wear out, blah, blah, blah. She took off her old leather shoes and tried on the silver ones, which fitted her as well as if they had been made for her. And just a side note, the book contains side notes with little numbers. So this was number 8, and it's going to have a thing about magic. And I feel like maybe when we're done with the whole book, we can have a thing that's, like, referencing back to those side notes. Like,
a overview?
I guess, but like, you know those school copies of books where it has like the thing in the back where it explains a bunch of stuff?
Notes?
Yeah, we could do that. Is like an audiobook form of that. Okay, let me get back to the book. There are people walking around. Why don't you go warn people that we're recording while I keep reading? She took off her old leather shoes and tried on the silver ones, which they'd been made for her. Finally, she picked up her basket. Come along, Toto, she said. We will go to the Emerald City. Oh, they do call it the Emerald City. And ask the Great Oz how to get back to Kansas again. That's a little redundant. She closed the door, locked it, and put the key carefully in the pocket of her dress. And so, with Toto trotting along soberly behind her, she started on her journey. Ace is back.
When is this book not redundant?
Fair enough. There were several roads nearby, but it did not take her long to find the one paved with yellow brick, because it was paved with yellow brick. Within a short time, she was walking briskly toward the Emerald City, her silver shoes tinkling merrily on the hard yellow roadbed. The sun shone bright, and the birds sang sweet, and Dorothy did not feel nearly as bad as you might think a little girl would, who had been suddenly whisked away from her own country and set down in the midst of a strange land.
Again?
Well, it hasn't happened before, it's just it's been mentioned again.
It's being redundant.
She was surprised as she walked along to see how pretty the country was about her, because she had lived in Kansas before this, and Kansas is completely gray.
Except for her.
I really hope the Kansas Tourism Board isn't watching this. I mean, they aren't.
I think Kansas is probably a lovely place in real life, But back then, I don't
In
think L.
1900.
Frank Baum liked Kansas.
Maybe L. Frank Baum lived in Kansas. You look that up. I'm gonna keep reading.
Ugh.
There were neat fences at the sides of the road, painted a dainty blue color, and beyond them were fields of grain and vegetables in abundance. Evidently, the Munchkins were good farmers and able to raise large crops. Once in a while, she would pass a house, and the people came out to look at her.
Google. Where was L. Frank Baum born?
L. Frank Baum was born
I really
in
hope that didn't
Chicago, New
activate
York.
anyone else's.
New York.
He lived in New York? No wonder he looked down on Kansas.
Yeah, especially during that time period.
New York could be a new man. Sorry.
I think that is actually licensed material.
I only did one line, though. So we're good.
Hamilton's so awesome.
Right? Okay, Once in a while, she would pass a house, and the people came out to look at her and bow low as she went by. For everyone knew she had been the means of destroying the Wicked Witch and setting them free from bondage, because
How?
they were told. If the messenger could go all the way to the north and back to bring the Good Witch, he could have spread the word in the time it was taking for everyone for the three Munchkins and the witch to talk to Dorothy. And for Dorothy to prepare.
Was the Swift Messenger like a supersonic bird?
What?
Was the Swift Messenger Tails from Sonic?
They
Or
never
Sonic?
said- what if it was Swift Messenger, like the bird a swift?
But are Swifts that swift?
I don't know. This one it was, apparently.
Was it a chimney swift?
I hope not. I mean, they're cute, but they need to stop getting in our house.
Are you still traumatized?
A little?
Oh god.
Long story. I will leave a link in the description to the story about
No,
the
you
chimney
won't.
swifts. Yes, I will.
You will forget.
I will not.
Yes, you will.
I will not.
We forgot-
I will make a note
in the
of it.
last
Get me a
dis-
pen.
In the last I'll just text you. In the
Oh.
last and anyway, in the last description you said you were going to include references to all the references we made in the
That was a
You
joke.
Anyway, let me text you.
Alright, while you do that, I'm gonna keep reading. The houses of the Munchkins, houses with a capital H, were odd-looking dwellings, for each was round with a big dome for a roof. All were painted blue, for in this country of the East, blue was the favorite color. 1 second. Excuse me. Towards evening, when Dorothy was tired with her long walk and began to wonder where she should pass the night, she came to a house rather larger than the rest. On the green lawn before it, many men and women were dancing. 5 little fiddlers played as loudly as possible, and the people were laughing and singing.
Then
while
went down to Georgia. He
I
was looking
doubt
for
it.
a stole.
a stole.
Soul to steal.
5 little fiddlers played as loudly as possible, and
But
the
if he
people
was
were
looking
laughing
for a
and
stole, it would have been really funny.
and the people were laughing and singing
Let's get an NHS stole.
while a big table nearby was loaded with delicious fruits and nuts, pies and cakes, and many other good things to eat.
Almost sounds like this is a utopia or something.
Bum bum bum. The people greeted Dorothy kindly and invited her to supper and to pass the night with them, for this was the home of one of the richest Munchkins in the land, and his friends were gathered with him to celebrate their freedom from the bondage of the Wicked Witch. Dorothy ate a hearty supper.
Story supports communism or capitalism.
I
don't think you can either.
Let's not worry about that right now. Because Dorothy ate a hearty supper and was waited upon by the rich Munchkin himself, whose name was Bok? B-O-Q? Bok? We're going to go with Bok. Then she sat down upon a settee. Is that how that's pronounced? A settee? Settee? Whatever. And watched the people dance. When Bok saw her silver shoes, he said, "You must be a great sorceress." "Why?" asked the girl. "Because you wear silver shoes and have killed the Wicked Witch. Besides, you have white in your frock, and only witches and sorceresses wear white." "My dress is blue and
That's
white
contrived.
checks," said... Well, I mean, that's just how it goes. The Munchkins have blue, the witches and sorceresses have white.
Does that mean
The
even the
Winkies
evil
are
witches
yellow?
wear white? Does that mean even the evil witches wear white?
Yeah.
Oh, that's actually interesting, because white is usually the color of purity and stuff. So
And
the-
stiff. Well,
it's stiff.
I'm not sure if the Wicked Witches wear white. We haven't gotten there yet, but I'm pretty sure if witches and sorceresses wear white, that would go for Wicked Witches too. All right. focusing.
Also, Oz the Great and Powerful is a terrible movie. Do not watch.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Hmm.
I mean, it's not great, but
The female characters are all horribly... In a movie where you have mostly female characters, you really shouldn't degrade them to what they were degraded to.
Mhm.
Especially powerful female characters who are supposed to
Right.
be awesome.
I mean, it's no Wicked.
It's certainly no Wicked.
The visuals are good. The story's alright. The characters are okay. But I wouldn't say it's a horrible movie. I'd just say it's not...
decent character is... The only decently written character is probably the flying monkey.
Alright. Where was I? My dress is blue and white checked, said Dorothy, smoothing out the wrinkles in it. It is kind of you to wear that, said Bok. Blue is the color of the munchkins, and white is the witch color, so we know you are a friendly witch. Yeah, white is the witch color. So evil witches also wear white. They know she's friendly because it's blue checked. Cool. Dorothy did not know what to say to this, for all the people seemed to think her a witch, and she knew very well she was only an ordinary girl who had come by the chance of a cyclone into a strange land.
Why did
As you have said.
like 50 billion times?
Yes, we get it. She came by cyclone. It's a strange land. We got it.
It's almost as if L. Frank Baum thought all the people reading this were stupid, especially since this wasn't written for children.
Or forgetful. When she had tired watching the dancing, Bok let her into the house, where he gave her a room with a pretty bed in it. The sheets were made of blue cloth, and Dorothy slept soundly in them till morning, with Toto curled up on the blue rug beside her. Yes, because dogs just stay on the floor. Definitely.
Yeah.
Toto must be very well trained, despite all the mayhem he causes.
Because dogs generally...
None of this would have happened if Toto had had any chill.
So why does Toto have the chill to just sleep on the floor in a strange place instead of climbing in bed with the only person he actually knows?
Maybe he's just well trained.
He's not!
Okay, maybe he's just well trained in not getting on furniture. I mean, it's never mentioned him jumping up on the bed in the house or anything. And sorry. I just saw the illustration on the next page, and I really wish I could show it because Dorothy's face is hilarious.
Everybody's face is hilarious.
They're so good. These illustrations are so good. Contact me back, Barnes & Noble. I want to share these.
Yeah, I mean, these are so funny.
Okay. She ate a hearty breakfast and watched a wee munchkin baby who played with Toto and pulled his tail and crowed and laughed in a way that greatly amused Dorothy. Toto was a fine curiosity to all the people, for they had never seen a dog before. They have lions. They have...
tigers. And
bears. Oh my. But they don't have dogs.
Well, they don't actually have tigers and bears. They have creatures that are basically a combination of tigers and bears.
Spoilers. Not that it matters.
Yeah, the movie is the one that has tigers and bears. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Oh my.
How far is it to the Emerald City? The girl asked. I do not know, answered Bok gravely, for I have never been there. Oh gosh. For I have never been there. It is better for people to keep away from Oz, unless they have business with him. But it is a long way to the Emerald City, and it will take you many days. I thought you didn't know. The country here is rich and pleasant, but you must pass through rough and dangerous places before you reach the end of your journey. This worried Dorothy a little, understandably.
You don't know where it is. How do you know?
I assume that just right around the edge of where they tend to travel has dangerous places, so that's how they know that. But she knew that only the great Oz could help her get to Kansas again, so she bravely resolved not to turn back. She bade her friends goodbye and again started along the road of yellow brick. When she had gone several miles, she thought she would stop to rest, and so climbed to the top of the fence beside the road and sat down. There was a great cornfield beyond the fence, and not far away she saw a scarecrow placed high on a pole to keep the birds from the ripe corn. I wonder if that'll be important. Scarecrow is capitalized. Dorothy leaned her chin upon her hand and gazed thoughtfully at the scarecrow. Its head was a painted sack stuffed with straw, with eyes, nose, and mouth painted on it to represent a face. An old pointed blue hat that had belonged to some munchkin was perched on this head. Oh, really? Oh, so there is.
Oh, dang, I'm actually thinking about namesake right now.
And the rest of the figure was a blue set of clothes, worn and faded, which had also been stuffed with straw. On the feet were some old boots with blue tops, such as every man wore in this country, and the figure was raised above the stalks of corn by means of the pole stuck in its back. While Dorothy was looking earnestly into the queer, painted face of the Scarecrow, she was surprised to see one of the eyes slowly wink at her. Slowly, movie. Slowly, not...
Also, the Scarecrow had a painted face. How
Yes.
could the Scarecrow wink?
How could the Scarecrow move and talk? Spoilers.
Spoilers? We've been referencing the movie all day. Of course they know the Scarecrow can move and talk.
I'm gonna say it anyway, though.
I do love the wicked interpretation of the Scarecrow, though, because that's really interesting.
I feel like we should have a spoilers counter, but that would just be too many counters, so we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, and we're running out of room for counters.
Yeah, we barely have room for the ones we have.
We occasionally have to get rid of the life debt one to even talk about things we're making up.
That's a joke. She thought she must have been mistaken at first, for none of the Scarecrows in Kansas ever wink, but presently the figure nodded its head to her in a friendly way. Then she climbed down from the fence and walked up to it. Ace just demonstrated a friendly nod, but instead of nodding, just kind of bounced in place. It's funny. Then climbed down the fence and walked up to it, while Toto ran around the pole and barked, because, once again, Toto, no chill.
You have movement. Ah, ah, ah. That's basically all dogs.
That is not a bark. Oh gosh, never mind. Good day, said the Scarecrow in a rather husky voice. I don't have a husky voice, so I'm just gonna have to...
Just be gravelly.
No. Did you speak? Asked the girl in wonder. Certainly, answered the Scarecrow. How do you do? I'm pretty well, thank you, replied Dorothy politely. How do you do?
Door. And just a random old oak door in just standing there.
References. Ow, ow, ow. Stop hitting me. I'm not feeling well, said the Scarecrow with a smile, for it is very tedious being perched up here night and day to scare away crows. Can't you get down? Asked Dorothy. No, for this pole is stuck up my back. If you will please take away the pole, I shall be greatly obliged to you.
Mom got on to me for using too much exposition in an original story I sent her. Yeah, I'm bad about that.
No. I mean, sometimes, but... No, for this pole is stuck up my back of you. Dorothy reached up both arms and lifted the figure off the pole, for, being stuffed with straw, it was quite light. Thank you very much, said the Scarecrow, when he had been set down on the ground. I feel like a new man. Dorothy was puzzled at this, for it sounded queer to hear a stuffed man speak, and to see him bow and walk along beside her.
Pause for a moment.
Uh-huh.
In the movie, they actually do this interesting thing where it shows the Scarecrow struggle to walk at first. Like, having to actually learn how to walk. Which is really interesting, because the book just has the Scarecrow just know how to do it automatically.
Although, let me keep reading. I think they addressed that somewhere. That might not be for a while, though. So let me just go ahead. Who are you? Asked the Scarecrow when he had stretched himself and yawned. And where are you going? My name is Dorothy, said the girl, and I am going to the Emerald City to ask the Great Oz to send me back to Kansas. Where is the Emerald City? He inquired. And who is Oz? Why, you don't know.
He doesn't ask what Kansas is?
I think that he's going, like, in order. She returned in surprise. No, indeed. I don't know anything. You see, I am stuffed, so I have no brains at all, he answered sadly. Oh, said Dorothy, I'm awfully sorry for you. Do you think, he asked, if I go to the Emerald City with you, that the Great Oz would give me some brains? We might only be able to do chapter 3, because it's, like, really long. Like, shockingly long. Oh, wait, no, it's just one more page. Never mind. I just noticed chapter 5.
And if I'm quiet and we pick it up a bit, we can probably finish it within 30 minutes. Like, pick it up. Like, now. Go. Go.
I can't find where I am. You're stressing me. I cannot cannot tell," she returned. "But you may come with me, if you like. If Oz will not give you any brains, you will be no worse off than you are now." "That is true," said the Scarecrow. "You see," he continued confidently, "I don't mind my legs and arms and body being stuffed, because I cannot get hurt. If anyone treads on my toes or sticks a pin into me, it doesn't matter, for I can't feel it. But I do not want people to call me a fool, and if my head stays stuffed with straw instead of with brains, as yours is, how am I ever to know anything?"
You know what's interesting? He perceives his intelligence based on what other people think of him and what he knows what he has, so he doesn't see himself as intelligent because he worries about other people calling him a fool more than he worries about being a fool himself.
I think it's less a fact of, like, he's stuffed and more a fact of, like, age, and that's acknowledged, so I will get there. I will get there. "I understand how you feel," said the little girl, who was truly sorry for him. "If you will come with me, I'll ask Oz to do all he can for you." "Thank you," he answered gratefully. They walked back to the road, Dorothy helped him over the fence, and they started along the path of yellow brick for the Emerald City. Toto did not like this addition to the party at first. He smelled around the stuffed man as if he expected there might be a nest of rats in the straw, and he often growled in an unfriendly way at the Scarecrow. "Don't mind Toto," said Dorothy to her new friend. "He never bites." "Oh, I'm not afraid," replied the Scarecrow. "He can't hurt the straw. Do let me carry that basket for you. I shall not mind it, for I can't get tired. I'll tell you a secret," he continued as he walked along. "There's only one thing in the world I am afraid of." "What is that?" asked Dorothy. "The Munchkin farmer who made you?" "No," answered the Scarecrow. "It's a lighted match." All right, so that's chapter 3.
That's a weird ending.
That's chapter 3.
Also, it's just like, I just met you. Let's share our secrets.
I mean, he's trusting.
I think
He has no reason not to trust her. I mean, she's clearly a good witch.
he's
Not
basically
that he knows that.
kind of a baby at this point because he doesn't really know anything. And I think they emphasize parts of that a little bit more in the movie, in the fact that he has to learn how to walk properly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the book, he can walk, he just trips a bit, but in the movie, he actually has to be helped up at first.
He's actually quite
That's the reason that they start. That's the reason in the movie they start off with Dorothy and the Scarecrow with their arms linked, so the Scarecrow can actually walk.
Mm. Yeah. Okay, chapter 4, The Road Through the Forest. And this is, like, a pretty short chapter, so...
He's basically a baby, he's really trusting, and he doesn't know a lot, but he's a genius, and you can tell because he learns so fast, and he's very clever.
Well, that's a little spoilery, but we will get into that when we get there, alright? Okay. So now we're on chapter 4, The Road Through the Forest, and it's only 3 pages, so if you're reading along, it's not going to take much longer, probably. After a few hours, the road began to be rough, and the walking grew so difficult that the Scarecrow often stumbled over the yellow brick, which were here very uneven, so he is clumsy. And it does, like, acknowledge that over time, how he keeps tripping over the bricks and stuff.
Yeah, but here, the only reason he's tripping is because the brick is uneven. He's
Right,
actually very competent.
He's tripping more than she is, though, and that could have to do with being stuffed with straw, or it could just be being unused to walking, making him clumsy, but he does learn very quickly.
I still think the movie did it a little bit better of him actually having to learn how to walk since he spent his entire life on a pike.
Oh, this is funny. Sometimes, indeed, they were broken or missing altogether, leaving holes that Toto jumped across and Dorothy walked around. As for the Scarecrow, having no brains, he walked straight ahead, and so stepped into the holes and fell at full length on the hard bricks.
That's why he's tripping. He doesn't know to avoid them yet.
It never hurt him, however, and Dorothy would pick him up and set him upon his feet again, while he joined her in laughing merrily at his own mishap.
Oh, he's also very reckless because he has no sense of self-preservation.
Because he can't be hurt.
Yeah.
The farms were not nearly so well cared for as they were farther back. There were fewer houses and fewer trees, and the farther they went, the more dismal and lonesome the country became. At noon, they sat down by the roadside near a little brook, and Dorothy and Dorothy opened her basket and got out some bread. She offered a piece to the Scarecrow, but he refused. "I am never hungry," he said. It is a lucky thing I am not, for my mouth is only painted, and if I should cut a hole in it so I could eat, the straw I'm stuffed with would come out, and that would spoil the shape of my head."
Also, he'd probably die.
I love the expression on his face in this illustration. Curse you, Barnes and Noble! Contact me back!
Also, look at her face like, I don't have enough life debts to deal with this.
Oh yeah, another life debt! Yeah! Add it to the tally. She rescued Scarecrow from a life of boredom. Just wait, I'm sure...
And brainlessness.
Yeah, well, not yet.
Well, he probably thinks that at this point.
Mm-hmm. We'll just do one for now. But one person can have more than one life debt, provided their life is saved more than once. But this situation just counts as one.
Okay. I mean,
Dorothy saw at once that this was true, so she only nodded and went on eating her bread. Tell me something about yourself and the country you came from, said the Scarecrow when she had finished her dinner.
That's how people talk.
Sometimes.
No, that's how I write them talking all the time.
So she told him all about Kansas and how gray everything was there and how the cyclone had carried her to this queer land of Oz. The Scarecrow listened carefully and said, I cannot understand why you would wish to leave this beautiful country and go back to the dry, gray place you call Kansas. That is because you have no brains, answered the girl. Savage! Bleep, bleep. Several bleeps. Stop with the bleeps.
Anyway,
Don't worry, I'll bleep all of that.
yeah, okay. Anyway, so I was going to say something.
Where's my sticky note telling you to stop cussing? Where did it go? It's okay.
Why did you check for it on my back?
I didn't check for it on your back. I just patted your back because you made a
Go back a little bit, because I was gonna say something to you, but now I've forgotten what it is.
I cannot understand why you would wish to leave this beautiful country and go back to the dry...
Yes.
Oh,
I know the actual definition, the old definition of queer.
What?
I know it.
what?
The old definition of queer is strange. And weird.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think of the modern definition with that.
I mean, the modern definition is the same. You're thinking of the modern connotation.
Modern connotation, yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, so
Let me read
I still can't help but think about this. It's so funny. And also,
the gayest of lands.
also considering that Oz...
Also, by the old definition, it is that! Oh!
Also, Oz is very rainbow compared to the gray, boring Kansas.
I love it.
Do you
I
want
love it.
to get the gay metaphor out of it?
I love it!
It could be gayer after all.
Hashtag could be gayer. Get Thomas Sanders in on this. Somebody do that. That would be great. That is because you have no brains, answered the girl, which is savage. No matter how dreary and gray our homes are, we people of flesh and blood would rather live there than in any other country, be it ever so beautiful. There is no place like home. That takes on quite a bit of meaning in the movie, huh? The Scarecrow sighed. Of course I cannot understand it, he said. If your head were stuffed with straw like mine, you would probably all live in the beautiful places, and then Kansas would have no people at all. It is fortunate for Kansas that you have brains. Won't you tell me a story while we are resting? Asked the child. The Scarecrow looked at her reproachfully and answered, My life has been so short that I really know nothing whatever. I was only made the day before yesterday, which is why he's so brainless. What happened in the world before that time is all unknown to me. Luckily, when the farmer made my head, one of the first things he did was to paint my ears, so I heard what was going on. There was another munchkin with him, and the first thing I heard was the farmer saying, How do you like those ears? They are not straight, answered the other. Never mind, said the farmer. They are ears just the same, which was true enough. Excuse me. Now I'll make the eyes, said the farmer. So he painted my right eye, and as soon as it was finished, I found myself looking at him and at everything around me with a great deal of curiosity, for this was my first glimpse of the world. That's a rather pretty eye, remarked the munchkin who was watching the farmer. Blue is just the color for eyes, because they're munchkins. Blue is the color for everything. I think I'll make the other a little bigger, said the farmer, and when the second eye was done, I could see much better than before. Then he made my nose and my mouth, but I did not speak, because at the time I didn't know what a mouth was for.
Wait, I just realized. The farmer purposefully made the Scarecrow's eyes uneven.
Yeah.
Like, most people, it's
For
like,
realism.
dang it, I got him uneven. But
I can't draw the other eye.
But the farmer was just like, let's make it bigger.
Yeah. Realism, I guess. My eyes aren't even. So are my ears. My glasses don't sit quite straight. which is quite the reflection of myself. Actually, my glasses sit straighter than I do.
I love how we're just constantly making jokes about our sexuality on here without
It's
getting...
June. It's gonna be June. I'm ready for summer.
It's gonna be gay.
June. Okay. I had the fun of watching them make my body and my arms and legs. When they fastened on my head at last, I felt very proud, for I thought I was just as good a man as anyone. This fellow will scare the crows fast enough, said the farmer. He looks just like a man. Why, he is a man, said the other, and I quite agreed with him. Huh.
Wait, this is just two farmers together.
Yeah. It's gonna be gay. So could it be gayer? I mean, yeah, but...
I mean, like, we could take it that way, especially considering that even if L. Frank Baum wanted to do something like that, he probably couldn't have gotten away with it. But then again...
Subtlety. Subtly gay. We have, like, 1 page left. So let's finish out the chapter and then just have a little discussion time and to wrap things up. It's been, like, 40 minutes. Okay, The scarecrow... Nope. Ugh. The farmer carried me under his arm to the cornfield and set me up on a tall stick, where he found me. He and his friend soon walked away and left me alone. Friend.
Friend. It's sort of like that firestorm in... It's sort of like that one superhero in The Incredibles who is raising his children with his roommate, Scott. Roommate? This was during like the 40s or 50s or something, so it was just...
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, so if you go into the files for The Incredibles...
Oh, okay.
It's sort of the same place where you find out Astrogale was a teenager.
Yeah, okay.
Which is depressing.
Yeah. Enough about The Incredibles, and please don't spoil anything for Incredibles 2. We just saw it yesterday.
I won't say
so
anything
good.
about Incredibles 2, I'm just saying...
Watch it, and we're done talking about The Incredibles.
One of the superheroes was gay.
Yes, we're done talking about The Incredibles. Now... I did not like to be deserted in this way, so I tried to walk after them, but my feet would not touch the ground, and I was forced to stay on that pole. It was a lonely life to lead, for I had nothing to think of, having been made such a little while before. Many crows and other birds flew into the cornfield, but as soon as they saw me, they flew away again, thinking I was a munchkin, and this pleased me, and made me feel that I was quite an important person. By and by, an old crow flew near me, and after looking at me carefully, he perched upon my shoulder and said, I wonder if that farmer thought to fool me in this clumsy manner. Any crow of sense could see that you are only stuffed with straw. Then he hopped down at my feet and ate all the corn he wanted. The other birds, seeing he was not harmed by me, came to eat the corn too, so in a short time there was a great flock of them about me. I felt sad at this, for it showed I was not such a good scarecrow after all. But the old crow comforted me, saying, If you only had brains in your head, you would be as good a man as any of them, and a better man than some of them. Brains are the only thing worth having in this world, no matter whether one is a crow or a man. That's comforting? That's comforting?
That's actually really clever, because crows are actually really smart. So Frank L. Baum knew that.
After the crows had gone, I thought this over, and decided I would like to try to get some brains. By good luck, you came along and pulled me off the stake, and from what you say, I am sure the Great Oz will give me brains as soon as we get to the Emerald City.
He was literally born yesterday!
He was literally born the day before yesterday. So, air yesterday. He was born air yesterday.
Why won't you let me have fun? Go.
Well, to be fair, the caption on the picture said I was only made yesterday, so you can base it on that. I hope so, said Dorothy earnestly, since you seem anxious to have them. Oh yes, I am anxious, returns the Scarecrow. It is such an uncomfortable feeling to know one is a fool. I think knowing you're a fool makes you less of one.
I mean,
Well, said the girl, let us
go. A smart
go.
man knows that he's not an idiot. A wise man knows that he is.
Nice. You could have made the ketchup joke. Never mind. And he handed the basket to the Scarecrow. There were no fences at all by the roadside now, and the land was rough and untilled. Toward evening, they came to a great forest where the trees grew so big and close together that their branches met over the road of yellow brick. It was almost dark under the trees, for the branches shut out the daylight, but the travelers did not stop and went on into the forest. If the road goes in, it must come out, said the Scarecrow, and as the Emerald City is on the other end of the road, we must go wherever it leads. Anyone would know that, said Dorothy. Certainly. That's why I know it, returned the Scarecrow. If it required brains to figure it out, I should never have said it. After an hour or so, the light faded away, and they found themselves stumbling along in the darkness. Dorothy could not see at all, but Toto could, for some dogs see very well in the dark, and the Scarecrow declared he could see as well as by day, so she took hold of his arm and managed to get along fairly well.
Wait.
If you see any house or any place where we can pass the night, she said, you must tell me, for it is very uncomfortable walking in the dark.
Is Toto confirmed a Yorkshire Terrier?
No. He's just a little black dog.
So,
With black eyes.
yeah, they never describe, like, his ears or how long his fur is, so...
Everything else is just up to whoever's illustrating.
I think these illustrations were done after the movie,
They were.
since this was published in 2005, which means that the movie decided, Yorkshire Terrier.
Little black dog with black eyes, Yorkshire Terrier works.
Yeah. I
Okay.
mean, are there many other little black dog species?
I mean, yeah. Any small dog species, breed. It's not
Why
a
did I
species.
think of itsy bitsy teeny weeny yellow polka dot bikini?
Okay,
For
we
some
have
reason.
we have 2 paragraphs left.
Okay.
Soon after, the Scarecrow stopped. I see a little cottage at the right of us, he said, built of logs and branches. Shall we go there? Yes, indeed, answered the child. I am all tired out. So the Scarecrow led her through the trees until they reached the cottage, and Dorothy entered and found a bed of dried leaves in one corner. She lay down at once, and with Toto beside her, soon fell into a sound sleep. The Scarecrow, who was never tired, stood up in another corner and waited patiently until morning came. That's kind of sad. Also, that's the end of the chapter, by the way.
Who built the cottage?
Just
Da
broke,
da 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 da.
they just broke into someone's house.
And
took an- Oh, wait, no. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Anyway, they just broke into someone's house and was like, great, let's stay the night here. Now, I have the dramatic irony.
Yeah, we have dramatic.
But- We're not going to say anything. All right, so, quick, she licked my hand. Quick discussion about what just happened. So, we got the Scarecrow.
The Scarecrow decided to
has
share.
no impulse control. Dorothy is 100% of his impulse control.
The Scarecrow just shared his entire life story.
Of 2 days. And today.
Yeah.
Get it?
Yeah.
He was made air yesterday, which is the day before yesterday. Ah! Okay. Dropped a water bottle on my foot. I'm glad I was wearing shoes. Anything of interest to discuss, or are we just done?
It's kind of like a pair of brown shoes. A pair of
What?
brown like brown loafers. People are like, here are brown loafers. Do you love them? And I'm just like, The chapters aren't good. They are not bad. They are sort of just
They're just
there,
the story.
and we're comfortable with them.
Yeah. It's just getting the story to the point where it can get to the story.
Yeah.
So, exposition.
Also,
Or is this rising action?
keep
I feel like the first chapter was the exposition, so this must be the rising
Keep
action.
an ear out to what Dorothy tells the other people that join her posse compared to what she told the Scarecrow. Because she told the Scarecrow, it's not going to harm you if you try. But with the other people, she goes about it a bit differently.
Maybe it was an increase of confidence as the journey continued. Like, if we're doing all of this, we must get what we want.
Which is the opposite of how most people would do, is be like, lose confidence and be like, wait, or is
it worth it? Alright, we'll continue this discussion next time as we continue with the story, so...
We should do Beowulf in the future.
Yeah.
Especially considering your shirt.
Yeah, I'm wearing the Overly Sarcastic Productions Beowulf shirt. Watch their videos. So good. Red and blue on that. Very good. I like red stuff in particular, but if you like
that shirt.
if you like history, blues stuff is good too.
I bought that shirt, but it was in European sizes, so the extra large did not fit me. It fit.
It's a little big on me, but just barely. Okay, so I guess like, subscribe, all that jazz. One day I'll have a real outro, and we'll see you guys next week. Okay, bye!
Bye-bye.